All right, YouTube, 10 million views achieved, and so it is time for a State of the Channel address, Styx of the Union, if you will. I'm reaching more people than I ever thought was possible until roughly the beginning of this year, or slightly before that. My ambitions regarding YouTube were still primarily just entertainment and so forth, not really pushing any specific ideology. Still don't, because my own ideology has a tendency to be a little bit eclectic. Let's face it. But I'm able to reach people much more effectively now, pushing 30,000 subscribers as well. It's less than 1,000 to go, and at the rate that things have been growing, I don't think that it will be long at all. Probably by the end of July, I'll hit that mark. Maybe before then, it depends. Anything that I upload has a tendency to attract more subscribers to the channel. I appreciate everybody's support, by the way, and it's time to talk a little bit about the future of my work. As you can see, I've got a little bit better a setup now. It looks a little better. It's a little bit more refined. Some people actually, when I suggested, I should get like, an actual office setup, some people are like, yeah, but this is more authentic, it's more personable, and it's really what people are used to. So I decided to sort of take the middle ground here. Instead of just having, complete informal setup, I decided to at least have a nice background, something to look at that looks better. This is roughly how I'll leave it as far as making my videos in the future, so no worries about any big changes. Still renewing my pledge never to take ad money, because I don't like the idea of ads on YouTube. I understand that Google and all these other companies are increasingly concerned about ad blocking, but I'm not. I'm just a content creator. I don't have to worry about their bottom line as long as they continue to exist, and I can't imagine that YouTube, of all places, is suddenly going to shutter the windows and bar the gates and close up shop because of a little bit of a loss in ad revenue. I just don't think that that's sensible at all. I think that these tech companies are whining about nothing because they simply want to squeeze people for every penny that they can get, and they'd rather get it from advertisers. But really, it's an inconvenience to the user base, and I refuse to support it. Ever since like the Cosmic Panda era, it was clear that was the direction in which things were going. I can remember when you couldn't even skip ads. Now at least you can use better ad blocking than we had before. As far as my literature goes, things are also looking up. Sales have risen for several months straight. It appears that they've hit a new norm. And so my name is now being associated with my work much more because, of course, more people are actually finding this stuff. It's starting to spread around the internet. I've noticed other YouTubers as well as blogs and so forth mentioning some of my works. I'm creating new works continuously. I just got done today with the final touches on Basil Valentine's 12 Keys. So that will be available within a few days. Philolethus' work, of course, is already available. The occult playlist that I decided to build specifically for the literature, I already had the occult playlist for more general topics, but then I'm like, why am I not making one for the occult literature side? I'm talking about every third or fourth work that I'm releasing on YouTube. I'm making videos for them, but I don't have them compiled in one area for people. It's just sort of conjoined at the hip with the other occult playlist. It didn't make any sense. I want to partition the two because there's now enough material to justify doing so. And so that's about half done. I've released, I believe, about 50 works already. Between works that I've edited and works that I've authored on occult topics. And that doesn't take into account, of course, a half a dozen other works like, Nazis, commies, and terrorists, which I need to redo that because it was in a poorer format. Things like morbid stories, it's not occult literature, it's just occult themed at times. So as far as literature goes, I'm going to keep plowing away. I've already got several dozen other works to edit lined up, in addition to works that I want to write myself as the author. I want to redo a few of the older works as well, including a couple that I've already spoken about. Even the Grand Grimoire, of course, it could be in a better format, although I don't know how I'm going to accomplish that without relisting the title. It's already such a high seller, it just doesn't seem like a great idea to do that. The black pullet as well, it suffers from the same flaw. Although I already checked the internal art and that actually looks fine. For some reason I thought that was in really low resolution. Apparently I was wrong, so I don't know what I was thinking at the time. So yeah, go ahead and purchase it if you want to. It'll be in the occult playlist as everything else. Another thing that I've noticed is I've been delving more into politics. Now part of this is there's an active campaign going on. And for people who join my channel sort of between the 2012 campaign and now, you may not realize this. Normally, I don't upload quite as many political topics. I focus a lot more on religion, the occult. I focus more on the paranormal. I focus more on international, like current events in general analysis, not necessarily just politics. So I think it's a passing thing. Of course, come November, when the campaign is over, there'll be a lot less political material to put on here. But I'm still going to keep covering it. I know I said before I was tired of the sort of Trump-Hillary stuff, and I am. I mean, it's exhausting to keep up with the insanity that is this current U.S. political campaign. We've also got the Brexit vote coming up only in a few days here. And I don't believe, by the way, the one poll showing a last-minute shift towards Remain. I'll just put that out there. I'll be covering that probably in the next few days as well. I don't believe that at all, because to me it looks like an outlier poll, honestly. But the state of the channel is everything's going well. I never achieved this level of success with any of my past channels. Botany 101, it was a good experiment, but it didn't generate quite as much interest as what I'm doing now. On that token, though, speaking of Botany 101 is a good segue into the idea. I am going to finish the Entheogens playlist at some point in the near future. Once the occult literature playlist is done, I want to expand that out on Entheogens, put that on there. There are about 24 more videos to make on that general idea. And after that, it will be the end of sort of the era of me bothering to cover mind-altering substances. I've already gleaned all the wisdom I can from my own use in the past. I'll have put all of the information that I can back online. I know I said when I OD'd, I stated that I was no longer really qualified to give people information on these substances. On second thought, though, several years later, I thought of this. None of those other substances gave me a problem. Everything I said about those was just fine. It was that one substance that fucked me up. Cautionary tale, of course, some of these research chemicals are not safe. And so I decided to put at least some of the material back on. I started with some of the more mundane material, like catnip, salvia, and so forth. The LSD and mescaline and psilocybin and amanitas sort of stuff, that'll have to wait a little bit longer. But yes, the channel is doing well. Viewership is massively higher than it was. Only a year ago, I was hard-pressed to rise above 4,000 or 5,000 viewers every day on my channel. Now it's difficult for me to get below 13,000, 14,000. Sometimes it peaks well above 20,000 or 30,000. So obviously there's a big difference in the interest in the material that I've been making. Part of that is because of politics, I think, and current events as well that I've been focusing more on. But I want to do a lot more occult work, finish out the Entheogens playlist. I've still got a massive amount of editing and writing to do as well. And through the end of the year, I hope to get a couple dozen more edited works out of the way, write a couple more of my own works, including The Immortal Sickness in Hell, which I kept talking about for 2 years and never quite got around to fully editing, which is basically already written. I simply have to compile it together and rewrite it using that basic formula, and it will become an actual full-length, sort of a shorter full-length work. It will be something that will be even better than morbid stories, but I've got to actually sit down and do that. I think when the weather's like this, I just want to go out and water the garden, I don't really feel like sitting here and doing a bunch of literary work all the time. I'll still get the work I needed to do out of the way, the editing work, which is also very important. It's one of my life goals, is to release thousands of these edited documents, and I keep getting more over time as I discover more authors, more works, more subjects, and so forth. There's a huge amount of material there, a lot of which I didn't even know existed even a year ago. But as far as focusing on stuff that I find entertaining that others would but aren't really informative, they're not educational, they're not potentially academic texts, I think that has to wait until the weather is a little bit more, cloudy and dreary, because I'm going to be more in the mood to write something like Sickness and Hell at that point anyway. So everything's going well. There'll be more videos to come later. It's right up against that time of the day at which the pollen count begins to rise astronomically. So I'm going to be in no condition to make videos until, again, tonight, as I did yesterday. I'm still already a little bit stuffed up. The only saving grace is it's a little bit less breezy today and I got more sleep, which means I don't feel tired as well. So that's about all. Peace out.